So hi everyone, we are live on Swapcard at Fak'ugesi Digital Innovation Festival. How is everybody doing?
We are fine.
We can unmute. So
awesome.
Good. Yes, energy. So thank you everyone for joining us from different parts of the world. And I'm just so grateful for the panel that I have today for immersive Juakali at Fak'ugesi and really looking at storytelling methodologies, looking at how all this artists, performance, technologists just come together and make the amazing work that they do. I am very honored the first time I had immersive Juakali, I just had Kenya and South Africa. And this year we've just gone beyond and expanded, and we hope that this will continue. My name is Nyambura Waringe. I am your host for tonight. And I love it, Shmira. Yes, people are lit in this place. I love it. So I'd like for us to just go around and introduce ourselves. And I hope as an audience, you'll get to see just the diversity of immersive media storytelling. It's absolutely everything. And so we'll start with Human Nature, aka Edward Lobo, representing Congo.
Okay, so I have this weird thing where I'm actually on two screens. So I'm just going to log out of my phone. Hopefully it doesn't log me out of the whole meeting. Yeah.
We'll just come back for you. There you are. We need more volume. Yes, there.
Am I gone?
No, not anymore.
Okay. Good. How are you guys doing? Okay, I hope my sound is pretty strong enough.
The sound has dropped.
Oh, okay. Let me just remove my headphones. Maybe with the speaker is fine?
That's good.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Edward Lobo. I go by Human Nature. That is my artist name. I make 3D arts, African sci-fi sceneries, if I could put it in a way. I basically been making 3D art for the past 2 years. I picked up the skills during the COVID time, and just through watching tutorials and everything, I was able to improve my skills to be able to make short length films, which I do today. So I will be sharing my screen before I start talking, just so that everybody can get a glimpse of what I do here.
Yes? Edward, we're just doing the intro now. We'll get back to you.
Oh, okay, that's even better. That's even better.
That's great. People are honest. I feel bad I interrupted.
Okay.
Thank you so much. But do go on with your introduction.
Yes. Okay. So I've been making art for the past 2 years. I make 3D sci-fi art. I recently explored the NFT space. I've been encountering recent success in the NFT space. Been collaborating with a wide variety of African artists, and I'm always open to these type of talks. It's not the first talk that Nambura and I have been involved in, especially involving NFTs. So I'm always very open to finding out more about NFTs when it comes to the art space. So yes, that's me in a nutshell.
That's great. And so we'll fly up to Botswana with Madame Maratewa. And what I love about Maratewa and Shmera is Afro Cyborg VR Collective that they started when they started working together, and just what they brought in terms of African collaboration in immersive media and everything that they brought to the table. So Maratewa and Shmera, you can just introduce yourself. Welcome.
Okay. Hi, hello everyone. Very nice to see you in this platform. My name is Moratiwa Molema. I'm from Botswana as well as from Germany. I'm both. And I am an artist. I'm a creative director for a multimedia dance theater group. I'm also a lecturer. I lecture film and live performance. And we recently made our first VR film with the Afro Cyborg VR Collective. And yes, I'm very excited about bringing traditional arts into a new technological space. That is, in summary, most of my artworks actually end up being that. Over to Shmira.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, so we are BFFs, and we like to play in the VR space, coming from a cinema background, and Maura with her immersive multimedia theater background. And yeah, I mean, we're all about, I guess it's a sort of techno-feminist kind of intervention, because, you know, the challenges around women getting into STEM careers, and just sort of having to overcome that inferiority complex around, you know, owning the tools of production and teaching yourself VR, and, you know, with the kind of gendered division of labor that we experience in South Africa, where all the technical domains are usually filled by men, and, you know, women perform more subservient roles. So we're kind of trying to get more into the technical space and, yeah, learn. And as we learn, then we share that with our students, and we share the knowledge. So yeah, that's kind of what we're about.
Well, thank you very much, Mira. Thank you very much, Afro Cyborg VR Collective. We're going to see more from them, so everybody just hold on. That just really amazing work. And we travel further north to Kenya with Melissa Lela and her wonderful work, both lecturing in digital interactive media, as well as producing work, and a really awesome PhD. So Melissa Lela, please, let's hear more from you. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Nyambura. It is a great pleasure to be here today. And hi, everyone. So my name is Melissa Chokolela. I am an interactive media designer and lecturer here in Nairobi, Kenya. I also wear multiple other hats. You know, I'm an illustrator, animator, and, you know, I do some work in e-learning as well. And my creative work and research work explores sort of the convergence of animation and emerging technologies in storytelling. My current research focus really is on how such tools can be used to digitize works of African origin, and also by doing so contribute to safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage. I'm also the co-founder of Lesson Stories, which is an interactive media startup here in Nairobi that seeks to interrogate how new emerging tech can be used to digitize works of African origin and contribute to safeguarding our intangible cultural heritage. I'm a PhD student as well, and my PhD research is along the same lines of storytelling using emerging tech. That's it.
Cheers, thank you very much. And finally, our host country, we're back in South Africa with Chaviso and Sonwabo, and the work that did for me, just your Descendants project is just so amazing. And the walkabout, how was the walkabout today? I hope you enjoyed it. I didn't get to see the live session. I had to do some other work, but I think I'm going to enjoy what we'll see, what you're going to show us. So please, guys, just go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Good. Thank you so much, Nyambura. Thank you, Moratiwa, Shmira, Melissa, Edward. Thanks for having us. Fak'ugesi as well. I am Abiso Vili. I'm an author, a performer, a poet, spoken word artist. Yeah, and I'm really interested in around what the new Insomi looks like. Insomi being, you know, the folk tales we would tell around the fire that are kind of magical but hold history. And so I'm interested in what becomes the kind of new digital fire now, and how to really tell African stories in new, never imagined ways before. And I'm joined by Sonwabo. I don't know, Sonwabo, are you there?
He is. He's gone to another screen. Hey, Sonwabo.
Gotta unmute.
Oh, sorry, guys. This was my network. Sorry. Yeah, so my name is Sonwabo Valashia, and I'm an artist. I have a background in graphic design and illustration. My work really focuses on African aesthetics and really trying to show the beauty that is our continent, and our cultures, our diversity also. And I'm really interested in storytelling through illustration, through all this immersive media ways. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you so much, all of you, for participating. So I'm going to dive right in and start with Edward Lobo, Human Nature, to give us just, I want y'all, the audience, to get to see different type of immersive work for those who haven't been to Fak'ugesi at the physical location, and just also see in different ways how immersive storytelling. And as you can see, this whole panel is really delving into folk tales, African spirituality, really what is both African, present, future, you know, and this is really exciting to see, even in our like tradition, our dances, you know, just taking all this intangible heritage and making it into a space that, you know, is a new technology, and then explores in different ways how we can, you know, enjoy it and explore it and make it sustainable for all of us moving forward as artists too. So Human Nature, would you like to take us away? You're on mute.
I'm unmuted now. Okay, great. So I will be doing my tiny little showcase to you guys. Like she said, my name is Human Nature. I've been doing 3D art. I will be showing you my first piece that okay, so just to give you guys a bit of context. When working with 3D art, it's quite difficult to develop 3D art with an African style, because most of the assets that you're given to work with are European assets. So it's difficult to really create an African environment in 3D. So that has been my biggest challenge ever since the beginning of my artist career. So a big step that I had taken was when I released my first NFT, which I'm showing you guys now. My first NFT was in collaboration with a friend of mine named Neema Gitere. She is also a poet, a writer. She does quite a lot of things. I can't really go into all of it, but she basically narrated this piece that I did. I hope you can all see it. I'm pressing play now. It's a bit animated. So yes, so this was the first piece that we created together, and it basically exhibits a guy who is, his name is Hunter, which is short for Human Nature, which is my name, of course. And he is basically a bounty hunter in an alternate timeline. And he's basically trying to collect the bounty on different African gods. And it's a very different take on, it's a very different take on the way we look at human interaction with the way that they saw the gods, for example, because usually when we look at African cultures, when we're referring to gods, or when we're referring to, oh, I see a hand up here. I hope is this a question for me from Sonwabo? Is this, oh, the hand's down. Okay, the hand is down. Yes, so, oh, yes, go on.
No, it's actually a reaction, it's a clap.
Oh, it's a clap. My goodness. Okay, thank you. Yes.
And this is actually the first work of yours that I saw, and I was like, I want to be friends.
Great. There was a lot of people that had seen this and were so touched by, and that's really what I wanted. I didn't just want this to be like a nice looking Star Wars type of thing. I wanted people to think of it further than what does it look like, but what could be happening? Because, you know, when you zoom into it and you see this lady pop out, you're asking yourself, who is she and what is she doing? And when you hear the story about the bounty hunter, and you actually hear the story about in ancient Cameroon, they have, well, in Central Africa, in Cameroon specifically, we have found some of the oldest hunters in the world. And there's a legend about how these hunters came to be. And the legend goes that when the gods created the earth, they asked every man to pick their tool. And I cannot remember the name of the tribe, and I would lie if I had said it, but they asked everyone, every tribe to pick a certain tool, and the tribe that the Pygmies chose was, the tool that the Pygmies chose was the bow and arrow, and because of that, they became master hunters. So when you're looking at this piece over here, for example, it's kind of my interpretation of these master hunters that live in and out, collecting the bounty. Yes. So that's just one piece that I wanted to show you guys. This is my first NFT. I was lucky enough to have it recently sell. It had been on the market for quite a long time. So that's definitely a big hurdle that we have as African.
All right.
Yeah.
I love it. And I'm being told like we need to be time sensitive, and I can't imagine why. So I would love to go. Yeah, all good things come to an end. That was the first work of yours that I saw, and Nema, Take Back the Internet, who narrated it. I was just blown away. So thank you very much for gifting us with that work. And I know there'll be more questions, and if not, also in the in the gallery that we'll have for all the artists who have been participating. So I'd like to go to the Afro Cyborg VR Collective for a short show of their work. And then right after, we'll go to Chaviso and Sonwabo and end with Melissa.
Okay, thank you very much. Human Nature, I love your name. I love your imagery. Wow, hi Chaviso, long time. Good to see you. So I came up with a story called The Cosmic Egg. Originally, The Cosmic Eggs was a theater production, a dance theater, where the story originated really in a way, how can I showcase traditional dancers and modern dancers and music within the same context. And I came up with a story called Roots, which was a 45-minute dance theater production. And then I basically condensed it into an 11-minute VR film. And it's a story about hunters who, egg hunters who steal 3 eggs. And these 3 ostrich eggs were actually blessed by intergalactic space travelers. So then the hunters drink these eggs, and then something crazy happens. Yes, Shamira, you can go and show some of the footage that we shot. The next slide. The eggs are called Harmony, Appreciation, and Wisdom. And really it is a metaphorical story of the earth and how the earth how we should take care of the earth. I decided to make the story in Setswana because I felt very strongly, after films like Number One Ladies Detectives, as well as A United Kingdom, these were stories about Botswana in Botswana. And it was very obvious when you watch the film, these films were not made for Botswana. So for me, it was very important to have basically an African story for African audience, or in this case, a Botswana story for Botswana. But what happened as the story grew, it became very evident that I needed a soundtrack, because a voiceover, because with dance, you can't really get so much into detail that I needed a voiceover so that people could actually follow the story. Because I think we're struggling a little bit with playing the imagery. There we are, can have a look. What was interesting in the process is that because dance, usually you have like 180 degree audience. Now I had to design for a 360 degree audience, and I designed the play. So I designed the play in such a way so that we do it in one take.
Diphologolo di le mo maratanong, rentšhe a ipatla mo go mmentšhe, mme le ene mmentšhe a hitlhela rentšhe a le mo ntle, a mo tla sentle. Selemo sa se hitileng no go le luba, mariga go sena pula. Batho ba rema ditlhare, ba bolaya diphologolo, ba tlhoka go somarela tikologo, ba latlhela diplastiki gongwe le gongwe go itlhela di heketsa lehatshe le lewatle.
So what happened is that the subtitles, it was quite a challenge to put where to put the subtitles so that, of course, this can also be viewed by an international audience. And I think you saw them kind of down there. But I think to really get it, you have to sort of watch it twice. So the Cosmic
also,
Egg.
This
Yes,
is
go
a free capture export of an immersive VR experience that one should ultimately watch in a headset, but just for the purpose of the presentation, it's a free capture export. Sorry.
So the Cosmic Egg, like the Earth, is kind of like a metaphor of what we actually need to take care of. And it's also inspired, some of the visuals are inspired by the rock paintings in Botswana of ostriches. You can go to the next slide. Yes, this is the dance crew, New Moon. This is my artist ensemble. We are all from Botswana, and some of them are modern dancers, some are traditional dancers. We can go to the next slide. And this is my dear mother who did the translation. And also because translating because I wrote it in English because my Setswana is not good enough to really get into the metaphors and the depth. So I had to ask an elder to help to really get the good translation in Setswana.
And she also did the voiceover.
Yes, she did the voiceover. Next slide. Yes, this is here. You can see at the bottom where the subtitles are. That is where we placed them. We can go to the next slide in the interest of time. And then what we did, there is where the sci-fi really comes out is we had wanted to do the magical part with tilt brush, but unfortunately we were not able to do it. So we used After Effects in a tilt brush kind of style to animate over the dance scene. And you can see this is kind of, we then use the imagery as the rock painting imagery, because the two dancers that you saw in the beginning are actually Mr. and Mrs. Ostrich, who are people, but are supposed to be animals, which is very much part of the tradition of folk tales, half animal, half human, or, the power of the animal.
Yeah.
We can, next slide. So our costuming was very interesting. I used recycled materials mainly, like here you can see the silver is actually wine box material. And then we have the nipples as the wine dispensing tap, where usually milk would come out, but I mean, this is the wine thing. We just went crazy, but these are the intergalactical space travelers from the future who bless the eggs with sound by the musicians that you saw. And then these are the special eggs that the hunters drink, and then they transform into future dancers, which is basically crump. So we had a crumping session incorporated into the storyline. Next slide. The costumes, we basically freestyled them with Shmira on set. We just came with a trunk load of stuff. And then when we got there, we just went crazy. So it was very much a freestyle costuming and makeup design. And we tried to be as crazy as we could, as you can see. Next slide. Yes, Shmira, I think you can talk a little bit about the technicalities.
Well, Maura, sorry.
Shmira, because we have more, I'd like for you to talk about the technicality and close it off, and then we can go to Chabiso and Sonwabo.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this image, you can just you see our makeshift set. We originally wanted to shoot in the Khadi pans. but the cost of getting the cast and crew there would have drained our entire budget. So we just found this little makeshift patch of red earth and thorn trees right in the middle of Gaborone. And in the middle there, you see the Insta360 camera with the tripod legs, which cost us like between 3,000 and 4,000 Rand a day to pay somebody to paint those out. And what we've come to realize afterwards is that, now that we teach our students and we can teach them how to not make the mistakes we made, you can actually bury those feet and not have to go through that arduous process of creating the garbage mats in post to paint out the feet in VR, because of course the camera sees everything in shot. And then our camera also fell over on set because we were trying not to weight it down with too many objects, and we ended up scratching the lens of the camera, but luckily we had a backup camera on standby. And Maura, I don't know if you want to talk about your star people.
Yes, costuming is very important for me. Sorry to just jump in quickly, but I love this imagery. And we had to use a black box, but it was not so easy to film in such a dark space, because I don't know what it did to the image. I nearly cut out the scene, but Shmira insisted on keeping it in. And I think in terms of process, it was very interesting also, even to in terms of collaboration, to leave each other to also come in with creative ideas and leave it open. So it became its own child, even though it wasn't exactly what I had planned, but it became its own creation. Thank you very much. I hope you loved it.
Absolutely did. And I mean, to all of us, it's just, and this is why I love how immersive media storytelling has merged with our ways of making story and the folk tales and all this stuff that we kind of left on the wayside in our journey to being modern and, stepping into modern society. And it's just lovely just to see how all the artists are bringing this back, in some way, in their own way, having their own spin on it, and having all these questions that come up. Obviously, how do we make in certain spaces that are gendered? How do we make across disciplines? How do we collaborate? And that is so important in the making of stories and then the media. So Daviso and Sonwabo.
Magic. Yeah, no, this is it's so amazing to be here and to be with you all. I am Daviso Vili. I'm with Sonwabo, and we're here because we're exhibiting Remember Your Descendants at Fak'ugesi, which actually Shmira and Moradiwa and I were part of the same cohort. The third cohort, I think this was in 2019 that we managed to get this particular project funded. So I think, we're interested in this idea of the new Insomi and telling these new stories and archiving the present for the future. And that's one thing that Remember Your Descendants does. You'll see here one of our shirts, and here we have the poem, we are making ourselves out of thin air, watching in awe at our own becoming. You are a wild magic. Your children are ancient stories. You are remembered, put together again and again across time. And I mean, that's essentially what to remember is to put together, but also remember for the future. And Remember Your Descendants asks the question, if you were an ancestor, what would your descendants call upon you for? And through a series of 10 interviews with some of our friends who are really leaders in their fields, we really started to get down to, this idea of spirituality, of what we have inherited and what we'd like to give over, right? And what we'd like our descendants to inherit. And so what does that mean for us? What does that mean for our art? What does that mean for this present moment? And so in a sense, as we are living now, as we are in preparation to become ancestors, we are kind of crafting these new stories and these new folk tales. And so, yeah, we used augmented reality to kind of, through the interviews, we turned the interviews into poems, and then we turned the poems into illustrations. And, you know, we've layered these multiple mediums. And yeah, we experienced them through augmented reality. Sonaba, you want to talk a little bit about your experience with the interviews and illustration?
So yeah, it was quite an experience for me, because working with Xabiso, who is a brilliant writer and poet, for me to translate those poems into visuals was quite a journey. It wasn't easy. Also, it taught me lessons to actually look at storytelling in a different way. You know, finding ways where a technique that I can use to translate words into images. So yeah, with all of these, we did around 10 images, and with all of these, each one was unique. It had its unique story and background and challenges also, because those are the teachable moments of the process also. The challenges that I got was clearly that, like translating these beautiful words into pictures and trying to capture all of these people's souls and capture their beings into who they will be in the future. You know, it's quite a wild exercise, but I'm quite happy with the process of it and the product that came out of it. So yeah, each artwork has a title, and each one has sort of a name. Ancestor of fruitful creation, and then there's an ancestor of the enchanted weave dreamer, and then the ancestor of building a home out of yourself. So these, as you can hear them, they really depict the people's background and what they are really good at, their skills, you know, and hopefully these are the skills that will be needed once they are ancestors themselves, you know, and yeah. I think it was a good process also of telling our own stories and finding new ways to preserve our cultures and our traditions also, and for the future, you know, and the descendants.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, even with the titles of the pieces, these titles were kind of we collaborated in the interviews to come to these titles. So there was a series of questions that were asked, all of the same questions to all of the people we interviewed. And through these, I mean, it was also quite an intense experience exploring these different forms of spirituality. You can see there with the enchanted weave dreamer and the snake that kind of constantly protects her, and within you know, and this and spiritual healers, the snake can either mean danger or can mean you are protected. And I know Nips, who's the enchanted weave dreamer, she was having recurring dreams of a snake that wraps around her gift, like her gift of becoming a healer. Ipendule, the ancestor of building a home out of yourself, was finishing her master's in Italy at the time when we did her interview. And she was just talking about how her childhood and the homes in her village, you know, like the Xhosa village she grew up in, were influencing her current work in architecture. And so it was, I think, you know, as Sonabo was dealing with creating the ancestors with illustration, it was also very important to capture not only, you know, the skills, but also the essence, the soul of really what they wanted to give over. So I think, unless we have anything else to say, we'll just play a short video when we took that when we were exhibiting in Paris.
Okay. Yay. We get to travel. Paris has come to us.
Paris has come to us. It's out there. All right.
And joy glows a wholly of her skin. Covering my eyes from her luminous halo, I tell her, I want to turn my friends into ancestors. She holds this in the heart.
Oh, wow.
Still reluctant to her godliness's name, she goes by so many, loses herself in the conflict of being born. One day, she will name herself fittingly, waits for her eyes to open.
All right, oh, it's still playing. Yeah, and that is the work, if it can stop. And you can see it at Fak'ugesi, and yeah, hopefully it moves some more, and yeah, we experiment some more, and we grow, and we have more interviews with more Africans across the continent and in the diaspora.
Yeah, I mean, that's just lovely. I mean, it's beautiful, it's amazing, it's hitting all the right spots. But what I love is, and I thank you all because of the work in the technology that you work, the ability and what you have done to allow us to access it, maybe without the technology itself and that accessibility. So I really want to thank you as creators for making that time to do that, because I think it also helps our audiences be like, okay, maybe I can see it on YouTube, maybe I can, see it on IG, but then we're getting them onto it so that when they do have the headsets, when they do have, let's say, the proper way to watch this, then we've already gotten the audience there as things have gotten cheaper. So even Shmira and Maratio, I really appreciate that free capture that you did, that allowed us to, I would have never seen it, for in this moment. So thank you very much. And that was a great way just to get us to Melissa's work, which I think encapsulates a lot of what you guys are doing. And I didn't choose you just by your work, but it's just so wonderful to see so much of this repeating and what you care about and what you have taken custody of for our heritage. So thank you very much. Melissa Lala, welcome again.
Thank you. So I'm Melissa from Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm just talking about the work that we're currently doing at Lesser Stories. I won't talk too much about the story itself because that would be a spoiler of something that is still in progress and is yet to be out. So now where I come from, you can't just dive into a story. One has to set the stage and invite the listeners to this storytelling session. So I would say something like Jasigana Agani, which means, would you like me to tell your story? To which you, the audience, would have to respond, Ganwa Jasigana, tell us your story. And only after you respond that I would continue my narration. Now, we thought that, we think about such experiences and we look at, how they're documented in books or even in film. And you can't ask, if you ask the same question, you really won't get a response. The book does not care about what you think or your response, and it doesn't even care if you responded. Now, the question we asked ourselves was, how can we digitally recreate such experiences? And this was the premise of our project. So our ongoing project, which is titled Sigana Tells the Winner by Lesser Stories, is a 6-off experience that takes you back in time and in which you join a storytelling session as a child and engage with the virtual storyteller and the other virtual characters in that experience, the 3 children you saw in the previous slide. And our storyteller, she's called the winner. She indeed cares about what you say. And she not only listens to what you are saying, but also reacts to what you said. And this work was motivated by three main ideas. One was this thinking about the limitation of linear media when it comes to displaying and fully experiencing African orature or oral storytelling in general. You know, African orature, as we know, is highly performative and participatory and only truly comes to life in a communal setting. It's therefore very difficult to document in, you know, legacy media or in linear media, print form or like regular, say, video. And in such mediums, you can still archive the information, but the experience of being there, being present in a live storytelling session, of engaging in, you know, like the banter or back and forth you normally would engage with a live storyteller is lost in that process. And then the other thing was wanting to really explore new emerging technologies. And so our approach in, you know, storytelling in VR was premised on leveraging the affordance of the medium and also incorporating in emerging technologies like virtual beings. I absolutely am obsessed with virtual humans and virtual beings and how we can interact with them almost as though they were other people. And this is, you know, really attempting to replicate what happens in a live oral storytelling session and thinking critically about what African storytelling frameworks have to offer in this digital space. So, for example, the, you know, renowned writer Ngugi wa Thiong'o, he outlined some conditions of performance, which include things like the architectural space where the story is being told, the time frame, when is this story being told, actually, beyond just the location, and an oral equivalence of what's called the mise-en-scene, and like the things that relate to the visual appearance and spectacle of the storytelling session, and also the audience-performer relationship. And indeed, there are actually some projects that we came across in research work that attempt to have established how such storytelling frameworks can inform computational narratives. So for us, you know, we were thinking that we can, you know, build upon that as well. So we assume that such features of oral telling can therefore inform computational narratives expressed in virtual storytelling environments. And also because as relates to my ongoing research, inform, you know, the field of human-computer interaction as we interact with computers that themselves are storytellers or virtual storytellers as embodied by virtual 3D characters. And then thirdly was, you know, our desire to give movement and context to cultural artifacts that would otherwise, you know, sit unappreciated, collecting dust in glass archival tombs in museum collections. You know, when you visit a museum, there's like, you know, a plaque that explains what the object is. And, you know, when you read it, sometimes like reading a beautiful description of some beautiful painting. But with VR, you can do more than just present the text. We can digitally recreate these objects by telling a story that would naturally incorporate such objects. So we therefore see that, you know, we therefore see these objects in a context, in its context, it's, you know, very authentic context, and it becomes more natural and less didactic, less explanatory, and more like just seeing them in use and even interacting with them in a story-related environment. So, for example, one of the stories is called Wanda Magere. It's not about his shield, nor about his spear, but it includes authentic aspects of tangible and intangible cultural heritage of the community from which that particular story was drawn. Sigana Tells the Winner actually has 3 stories. So this is the first, it's intended as a series. It's the first series, which has 3 stories. And the first story is the myth of Simbinyaima, that's about a sunken village. And then there's Lwanda Magere, which is a famed Luo warrior. It's a very popular story here in Kenya. And then the last one is a fable of why tortoise has a broken shell that we have since renamed to The Feast in the Sky. And these particular stories were chosen to show like the breadth and variety of African oral storytelling. And in doing this work, we sort of have experienced a couple of challenges that connect to storytelling, and I'd like to share that as well. One of the main challenges is actually around language. Usually the language that is used to tell a story is a very vital part of how that story is told and how it's understood in its original setting. So, you know, things like metaphors or double meanings and humor are often lost when you change the language to a different one. We're using English in this regard, for instance. So we lose the nuance and subtlety that is often present in the original language. The other thing also is, you know, we have experimented with text-to-speech services because this is a great option for creating a big repertoire of responses by the virtual storyteller. We're using IBM Watson for this particular experiment. And the challenge with such systems is, even though you have like a lot of branches from whence the virtual storyteller can actually pick a response from, the systems do not sound even remotely authentic. And the ones that actually sound human don't sound African at all. The accents are off. And sometimes they even struggle to understand you, the speaker. So what we thought to do was use pre-recorded dialogue because this bears more authenticity in terms of language and accent. But the issue with this for the virtual character, the virtual human who interacts with you, is that it limits how many branching paths the storyteller can actually take. There are only so many things that the storyteller can say before it becomes another, repeating loop. And then the other challenge is, oral storytelling is a very multimodal interaction between the storyteller and the audience. So the verbal and non-verbal elements are equally important to the telling. Things like the gestures and mannerisms and even the environment of the virtual storyteller needs to be authentic. That's what we've sort of gleaned from our experience. And our team is very small. So when working in such a small team, a big chunk of our time is spent not so much on the storytelling, but on building from scratch many of the assets that we need. So this includes the visuals, the 3D assets, the character modeling, the motion capture, the programming. And if you do just, quick cursory glance at asset stores online, you find an abundant collection of props, of environments that can be easily used to tell Eastern and Western stories. There's a plethora of, say, Japanese katanas or Western-style architectural assets, but you won't find a Luo shield. So from, say, the Luo people in Kenya. You won't find a traditional throwing club. You won't find even, say, a cooking pot, which you might want to use in a virtual environment. And so while some of these things are already well established in other storytelling traditions, where there's ready-made digital assets and they're readily available and extensive, as an African storyteller working in this medium, we feel, we experience that you have to do a lot of this from scratch to avoid cultural incongruity. You want to avoid having assets that really have nothing to do with the story that you're telling. If something does not look authentic in a very glaring way, then you can easily break immersion when you're in the virtual environment, and even when it's just a 2D experience that you're looking at. And then the last challenge is that, we have become accustomed as general audiences to Western storytelling traditions. So sometimes it becomes a bit challenging to tell an African story in a way that is reminiscent only of, these traditions of oral storytelling. To, attempt to link the stories from Western influences sometimes can be a bit challenging. For example, something as basic as resolution of plot, is it a happily ever after when Tortoise is named? Like in a story, Tortoise breaks his shell in the end. He's scarred for the rest of his life. His shell breaks into lots of pieces and never recovers. The hero, Luanda Magere, dies. He doesn't just die heroically. He's not like a tragic hero. He doesn't die like a tragic hero's death. Or his death is not even a noble sacrifice. He just dies. He doesn't even win the fight, And other stories from our context are episodic stories that change depending on who is telling them and who the audience is. They adapt depending on who the audience is. And also some stories just don't have a 3-act story structure. So, these become new experiences for audiences who are subconsciously accustomed to, well-established ways of telling that often are influences from the West. Thus, the general public might sometimes struggle to appreciate such experiences and approaches to storytelling. But it's not all doom and gloom, We are confident as Lesser Stories, getting into this space. We're confident that these challenges do have answers, and new technologies, like VR, like virtual humans in a massive environment can be used to digitally mediate African orature or work that leans strongly towards such frameworks of narratology.
Wow, thank you so much, Melissa. I mean, that notion of we are starting to create our tools again because we were not represented in those spaces. And that it's so important that artists like yourselves continue to do this hard work. And, even with, hashtag build cause you have to, with Fak'ugesi, you guys are doing exactly that. And for me, immersive Juakali means entrepreneurial. It's what do I have in my space? How am I going to work with it? Yes, I might be not having access to this, but I am going to create my own access. And I feel it is so important as African storytellers wanting to work on the continent to continue to develop our own tools so that we are not dependent on others constantly in our journey. We are fashioning our own way forward. We have 3 minutes, but I'm just so happy that you guys made it. I think next time I'm just going to say there have to be 2 when it comes to storytelling, because you guys are doing such great work, such big work, such important work. I know you're probably sitting at home going like, but I do this every day. You have been called by your ancestors for sure. So I'm going to just kind of have, you've all in a way talked about the way you make story, what inspires you, really thinking through the technology that you're using. But before we kind of wrap this up, and I hope that I can get to speak with you again and share it with people around the world, is I'd like to hear from you, like moving forward, what's happening as creators, where are you going, what are you pursuing, so that, you know, the audience can get to look for your work, or, you know, next year or 3 months from now, we can look forward to seeing something of yours, or an evolution in the storytelling and the making. I'd like to start with Moratiwa, Human Nature. So Moratiwa and Shmira, Human Nature, Edwards. Then Melissa, Sonwabo, and Chavi. So I tried. And so, yeah, I'd really love for you guys to just wrap it up for us in that way. And definitely, we're being told that everybody says they love you. So our audience says they love you, and thank you so much for making the time. And I love you so much and the work that you've been doing. So let's go.
Thank you. Wow. Amazing work. I'm very inspired. Going forward, we have a showcasing of the Cosmic Egg and Shmira's film, The Eye of Mutwa, coming up at the FNB Art Joburg on the 29th of October, actually next week, at the Hyde Park New Metro Cinema. We are showcasing our VR films, but moving forward, we have so many stories that we still want to make in VR, but also transmedia. You know, I'm also thinking of animation. I have a new project coming up, The Sand Princess, which is a bit more elaborate than the Cosmic Egg. And Shmira, also go ahead.
No, I'll leave it in your very capable hands, my darling. But yeah, I hope you can make it to the FNB Joburg Art Fair. Woo, see you there. In the
and
headset.
where can people and where can
watch
people
a movie
find you online?
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm also busy with a PhD and trying to, you know, hold down a day job. So the website is still under construction.
Yes, and I've got a website called New Moon /BW, and I post the work that I do with my dance crew and the musicians that we work with.
All right. Oh, Edward is trying to log in.
Thanks for having us, Nyambura.
Oh, thank you for making it. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. So Edward, so who was next? I've not Edward. Was it Melissa?
It was me. So thanks, Nyambura. Where you can find us, our website is lesserstories.com. Our work is still in production, but we intend to have this done soon. And we intend to have it showcased through by partnering with cultural agencies like museums. So likely it might be the museum near you. We'll start with Kenya and then see how to spread out the rest of the region. But to engage with us, our website, we have a contact there, and you can communicate. Thank you so much, Nyambura, for having me.
Thank you for making it. Thank you so much. Human Nature, Mr. Edward.
Yes, sorry for dropping off there. We had a power outage, third world country. Yes. But yes, as for my work, you could find most of my work on my Instagram at Human Nature, human.ntr. That's really where I post most of my updates. Within my future works, I'm really more delving into the NFT space. I would really like to encourage more African artists to enter the NFT space, because I really don't think that there is genuine African culture being explored in the NFT space. So most of my work will be mostly seen on OpenSea or on Rarible. You could follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. I think my links are in my profile here. And then you'll find most of my unreleased works. I have a lot of unreleased works, so you can have a look at that, and also tutorials on how to make similar scenes.
Oh, thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you. I didn't know about that. And human nature is human with Hueman.
Yes, hue for all the different colors that we come in.
Look at you.
Yes, yes.
Sonwabo and Chaviso.
Word. So I'll just speak for both myself and Sonabo because network on Sonabo's side is tricky.
It's tricky, it's hectic.
Tricky. Yeah, so also one of the things that we dived into this year was projection mapping. We premiered a project on the Saint Eustache Church in Paris called Tosi, which is similar to what Melissa was saying.
Are you moving to Paris? Is that something that's happening? Like,
no,
what's
I
going
got
on?
Too many stories on the continent. Too many stories on the continent. But we're gonna we won't say no to them euros.
Oh, never do.
Yeah, so we're looking into even more projection mapping, both small scale, so just like murals, and then maybe larger scale, you know, projection mapping a tower in Joburg, projection mapping the entirety of Table Mountain. We're looking also at murals and how we can augment murals as well. So what does a mural of the Prince of Newtown look like in Newtown, and what type of stories can you tell? And yeah, also, I mean, we're just playing around with all immersive media. So we also, at some point, want to jump into VR, Afro Cyborg Valhalla, when the time is right. Yeah, and then you can find the project at the moment on Instagram at RY Descendants, on Facebook, Remember Your Descendants. You can find me at Abisovili. You can find Sonab on Instagram at Black Village Kid. And yeah, also website things we've under construction. They exist, but you know.
Yeah, I know. I understand. Don't worry. Mine took a year.
Word. And yeah, that's us. Remember Your Descendants. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for blessing #Immersive Juakali at Fak'ugesi. And I'm just so honored to have just experienced your work. I don't always, so it's just also, that is really great. Audience loves you. I absolutely hope that your projects will even become greater than your dreams, and that you'll continue to imagine radically in the way you do, so that we can come and play with you. So thank you very much. And thank you, Fak'ugesi, and all the sponsors and partners who have made this possible. And to you, the audience, thank you for taking your time. A second session of #Immersive Juakali is going to be starting in 15 minutes. In this one, we're delving into beyond the headsets. So what happens when, you know, the web and blockchain become a part of this immersive storytelling, and what new possibilities can emerge. So welcome to that. If not, everybody have a good night. I believe all around Africa right now, it's evening. Yes, it has to be. So thank you very much, you guys, and wave back at the audience as we say bye. Bye, guys. Thank you.